Hey everyone, welcome to the Tremol-No installation video. I'm going to be showing you how to install a Tremol-No in your guitar. First we'll start off by starting some tunes. A little Milan Pollock. And this is a Ibanez RG565. This has the Ibanez version of the Floyd Rose. This is called the Edge. And it also has the Graphtec graphite saddles. Very nice. The tools that you'll be needing to install the Tremol-No are the number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a pair of scissors, some masking tape. Wrenches are included with the Tremol-No, but I'm going to use my own wrenches. A pair of needle nose pliers, and a pair of wire strippers and wire cutters. Let's take a look at the back of this guitar and where we're going to be putting the Tremol-No in. We can zoom in a little bit. Take a look at the trem cavity. There we go. First thing we want to do is mark off where the front of the loops of the springs are. We're going to use our masking tape to do that. This way, when we put the Tremol-No claw in, we're going to know at least really close where we were in tune. Might not look straight on the camera, but it's pretty darn straight from down here. Now here's a cool trick. Trim the tape away. It makes it a lot easier to work inside there where the claw is going to go. This is our line. We'll be using that later. Next thing we can do is pull off the Tremolo springs. Got your needle nose pliers. You're going to grab the L end of the spring by the trem block, and you're going to slowly lift it out. Now, what I do is I put a little pressure right here just to hold the spring so it doesn't go boing and spring out. Slowly lift that guy out. Try to remember what position each spring was in. It helps when you put it back together. I'm also putting a little bit of pressure on the body. You can see the tremolo block going towards the neck. Makes it a little bit easier to get the springs out of there. Again, I got a really good grip on this. There we go. Now all of our tremolo springs are out. Next thing we can do is take the claw screws out. And this is pretty simple. It's pretty boring. Do a little bit on each screw. Try to remember which screw went in which hole. Just makes it a little bit easier for installation, and just because I'm anal retentive, I do it that way. So there we go. Next is the tremolo claw, and usually this has a ground wire on it. The options are up to you. If you want to unsolder that, you can. Since this is the installation video, we're not going to fire up a soldering iron and do that. We are going to simply cut the ground wire. We'll set the claw off to the side, save it for later, just in case we need it. Since we have the ground wire out, we're going to strip it just a little bit at the end right here. And we're going to twist the end. You can tin that if you want. We're going to be grounding it later. And now it's time for the Tremol-No. We have a nice factory sealed box here. I'll describe all the stuff that comes in the Tremol-No package. First thing we have is the extras pack. This has your spacers, your extra metal dowel pins, your extra clamping screws, and extra thumb screw, which is always nice, and extra set screws as well in case you want to run this full-time hardtail. We also have a 2mm wrench and a 1.5mm wrench. Those are to help you with installation. Everything on the Tremol-No is metric. So since we're going to be using my own wrenches, I'm going to move those out of the way. Next we have the Tremol-No. And it's going to look something like that in your guitar. These are the main parts of the tremolo. You have the claw, you have the shaft, you have the deep C. When this is set in position, this allows full floating trims to go dive only, and you can drop tune. It also helps you if you break a string. Next off, we have the receiver and the tailpiece. Those are the three main components to the tremolo. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install the claw. So we'll slide these two guys out of the way. Get our claw. And to aid in installation, it helps to pull the two set screws out of the top of the claw. Just makes it easier for the claw screws to get in at the right angle that they're supposed to get into. And we can always fine tune a little bit later. Those are out. Here comes my lower claw screw. I'm going to start these by hand. Sometimes it's tough to start by hand. I like to do that to make sure that they get in at the correct angle. Now, I can use a screwdriver and tighten it up. I keep pressure here just to make sure that the heads slip by and everything is straight. Now what you want to do is try to line up the tape mark here with the front edge of your claw. That is going to get us back to where we were pretty darn close. So that looks pretty close. We'll do some adjustments later on. Now here comes a cool trick. I'm going to put the set screws back in. And we're going to tighten them. You'll feel when they're tight. Now, here's the cool trick. Wrench back in, undo them a quarter turn. That's it. Just barely unset them or unlock them. Just a quarter turn is all you need. This will help you when it comes back to tuning time. Your tremolo claw isn't raising up and down in there, affecting tuning more than it should. So, next let's put on the springs. I like to do the center spring first. That's just me. You can start at the top. You can start at whatever side you want. Again, I'm going to put pressure on the body of the guitar, and you can see that's going to bring the trem block closer to me. So I put the loop end in, a little pressure with my thumb, and man, do I hold tight on this end with the needle nose pliers, because if this slips, digs into the body, man, that just sucks. So be real careful. Make sure you get a good firm grip on this and a little bit of downward pressure here. Slide that and make sure the spring gets seated in its hole. Start off with the top one up here. Again, a little bit of pressure. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the body. Slips right in. It's a little bit easier on the third one because the trem block's being pulled towards you. Still, you got to keep a good grip on that. A little bit of pressure. Bang. All three of your springs are back in. And if you want to, you can flip the guitar and you can check the tuning. You can do your fine-tuning adjustments here, and it'll get you back to exactly where you were before. The tremolo is going to work just like a regular claw with this extra little shaft. So let's install the deep C. Just slide that up towards the claw just to get it out of the way because we're not going to use it right now. And for the receiver, since this is a Floyd Rose tremolo block, it's really thin. From the factory, it comes with a really long clamping screw. We're going to swap that out for the shorter clamping screw. You see it there. And we're going to use a 1.5 millimeter wrench. We're going to pull this guy out. You can see how long he is. And those are for vintage Strat trem blocks and PRS blocks and Ringball Music Man trem blocks. So if you have a guitar like that, you're going to need this long screw. But for the thinner blocks, we need the shorter screw. We're just going to, whoops, set it in there. Now we're going to slide this onto the shaft. Set it on the block like that. Next thing we have to do, and this is absolutely the most crucial, is alignment between the shaft, the receiver, and the tremolo block. You want to make sure this is perpendicular, and then you want to make sure your shaft is also perpendicular to those two. So you got to make everything align. If it's off alignment, the shaft is going to bind like that, and it's not going to be very smooth. You'll definitely be able to feel it in your trem. So we'll do alignment in a sec. Right now I want to clamp this block on, and in order to do that, I want the clamp a little bit loose. So like right now it just slips off there. All I'm going to do is make this snug, just keeping pressure on the top so it doesn't go anywhere. I want to do this snug and then half a turn. That's it. You're not clamping pieces of wood together. You're not holding a building up. It doesn't need to be incredibly tight. It just needs to not move back and forth. So don't crank down on these, because if you do, the faces of the Tremol-No tailpiece are going to spread out and it's just going to slip off your block. So don't crank down very hard on these. So this is clamped in. Now it's time to make sure that we're 100% aligned. Let's do a little bit of alignment with each screw. And here is a huge amount of alignment. I'm talking 16th or 30 seconds of a turn. Just go. Think that is a lot of alignment. Just need to go really, really small turns. Take your time and be patient with it, because eventually you're going to get it where you cannot feel the Tremol-No at all. You'll be able to use your trem. You're not going to hear it. You're not going to feel it. Once you're done with that, you can do your fine-tuning to get exactly where you were before. And then we're going to come back to these two set screws, and we're going to give them our quarter turn tight again. Now we're totally locked in place. The Tremol-No claw is not going to move. We can set the deep C wherever we like, unlock these or lock them. You can remove the tape now, so we're done with that. Make sure you don't pull any finish off. Let's go slow and get any extra residue. We are done with that tape. Your Tremol-No is installed. Lastly, if you want, you can take a pair of nail clippers or wire cutters or an X-Acto blade, and you can trim off these plastic rods in the back. That'll allow you full dive travel. So let's flip the guitar over and see how close we are to in tune. Not perfect, but also not terrible. So we'll loosen the claw screws in the back. A little bit easier to see right there. I'm just going to unlock them. I'm not going to totally unscrew them. I'm going to make little adjustments to the claw. See how close to in tune we are. Oh, that's a little bit better. Anyway, you get the point. You'll have to fine tune and adjust that. When you do make adjustments here, make sure your alignment stays on. That is absolutely crucial. Here we go back. We're going to lock these up. And our Tremol-No installation is done. I'm not going to trim these. You guys can if you want. This one's going back in the box for me. Last thing we got to do, I almost forgot, ground wire. Use the 2mm wrench, and you can loop this wire right around the ground screw, and then just tighten the ground screw. Oops, he didn't stand there. There we go. Complete Tremol-No installation.